my last reading for Poetic License. Might as well show off the sign again. Poetic License. Ta-da-da-da-da. You're laughing at me. I'm going to do all periodic table poems. And they're going to be last ones from collection books. We've just released new issued collection books, Casting Off and It's All About Impact. I'm looking at it on the shelf right over here. But I was going to go and read the last things that I had never read in these May to August issue collection books. So I'm just going to read like four, but they're going to be Twitter-length short pieces of all periodic table stuff. And the first two that I'm going to do are for the cc&d issue collection book that was called A Mural of a Forest. It's a piece that was accepted within the book that had that title, and this is literally a mural effect done for a forest photo. I believe it was in the Highlands, the Highlands rainforests, and but it's got oil effects on it, so it looks like it's more like a painting of a mural or whatever. But anyway, I was going to share with you two, I believe two Twitter-length periodic table poems. So they're not only in this book, but they're also in Twitterverse periodic table poetry. I figure I've got the time, I might as well show off books for you guys. But these are for the element rubidium. And I usually send you tons and tons of photos, but these books don't have all these photos, so you might get one photo for one of these and that's it. But this one is titled Rubidium Leads the Way to a New State. States of matter. I know we've mastered solid, liquid, gas, plasma, but state 5, the Bose-Einstein condensate, cool down atoms to near absolute zero, and atoms move so slow, every atom acts the same. Cool rubidium with lasers. Bye-bye energy. And rubidium's no longer in the 4 disordered states. It was cool to learn all about these things because trying to do an artistic representation of rubidium, of an element, is not very easy. I'm trying to show it, and it's just like this light color. Oh, there we're seeing this ball kind of thing. I'm trying to show it off for different cameras. It's not working, but you can see it online if you wanted to, and it is in black and white in the book. That's the way I was trying to show you a color version, but I won't show you any more pictures like that, I promise. I was just going to do one more Twitter-length one, another rubidium one from not only A Mural of a Forest, but also a Twitterverse periodic table poetry, and it's titled Rubidium Deep Red Explosions. Your deepest red shows through when you set the air on fire. We throw water, try to get you out, and you convert it to gas. How do we stop your explosive side when you serve no purpose? Your unnatural nature scares us. We can tuck you within, or else you explode in your deep red glow. As I said, these were just Twitter-length pieces, and they were the last two that I was going to share with you from this book, and I might share ones from the new ones next time around. But the next ones, because I figured I can get away with saying 3 of them, because I'm going to be reading pieces from the Down in the Dirt issue collection book that is from the May to August issue collections, and this is titled Forbidden Library. I like this tear in this old ancient building within it, and actual library books. You can't see it, but yeah, there's a library thing from a spine from a book, and there's a stack of them in there as well. But anyway, I was going to read a periodic table poem, and then maybe 2 Twitter-length ones, and that'll be all I'll be doing for this reading. But this next one is for potassium, and it is in Forbidden Library, the Down in the Dirt issue collection book, as well as the periodic table of poetry. And as I said, it's titled Potassium. Every once in a while, in the middle of the night, I wake up in massive pain as one of my legs convulses, and it feels like my leg's in a vice grip as my muscles cramp at me defiantly until I attempt to stand to battle the pain while I hold on to my bed frame, struggling until the pain ends. And that's when he tells me, Leg cramps? You're low on potassium. You should eat bananas every day. So, if there are bananas in the house, I'll eat them in the morning after one of those leg cramp episodes, because even though I'm a vegetarian, I'm really not that fond of bananas. So then I have to remind myself, you need potassium, and bananas are apparently high in potassium. But wait, I take multivitamin pills daily. That should have all the potassium I should ever need. So I read the label on the multivitamin jar, scan for potassium, and see that it only has 2% of my USRDA. Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. So I look for potassium supplement jars, and as a rule, they don't exist. At first on the line on the potassium hydrochloride is available if you just fill out a hazmat waiver form, and besides, potassium hydroxide is used for livestock, and potassium chloride is used to inject as an injectable for pets, and that's when he tells me, oh, they don't sell supplements of just potassium because it's toxic to you if you take too much. So since it's a health risk, they won't sell it. And all I could think was that if I took a ton of multivitamins, that would probably be toxic too. So then in frustration, I looked to find the average amount of potassium in a banana. It was 3%. Really? 3%. That's all I need to stop my legs from cramping at night? And it says, and why is the USDA level for potassium so high? And how bad can potassium be if they won't even put enough into a multivitamin and they won't even release it in a supplement? Well, then while shopping, I look in a flip-top sale can for a can of Chef Boyardee at a Kmart for $1. The can was for a whole grain lasagna. I look at the back label and the nutritional fact sheet, and it said that it had 98 milligrams of potassium. That was 28%. So even though there's a ton of sugar and salt and fat in a can of Chef Boyardee, I could start shoveling down that pre-processed pasta instead of a banana when I get my leg cramps at night. Oh, I mean, if I can find a surplus of potassium in prepackaged cans of Chef Boyardee lasagna, maybe I should look for potassium in other sales in front of this local store. So let's see. Jolly Ranchers don't have potassium. Swedish Fish don't have potassium. Willy Wonka Nerds don't have potassium. Nestle Kuypers don't have potassium. A can of Green Giant sweet peas doesn't have any potassium. A bottle of Italian salad dressing doesn't have potassium. A bag of rigatoni noodles doesn't have potassium, and I really doubt I should be living off of cans of Chef Boyardee whole wheat pasta lasagna. Besides, I think I'd be too afraid to even eat the lasagna from the can, really. So I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to figure out why you need potassium in your diet so much if you can't even find it easily in foods. And since they say bananas have potassium, I looked into it. Since potassium is needed in all living cells, a depletion of potassium in humans can also lead to cardiac problems. But from what I've found, potassium is needed in plant production because it's found in many vegetables as well as fruits, like bananas, I suppose. But the way we mass farm now in this global economy, it's even leading to a depletion of potassium in the soil. And the thing is, potassium is usually found ionized in salts, meaning that its water solubility gives potassium many chemicals that is in its ionized form, which I suppose is good for us humans since we're over 50% water. But the weird part, this is the weird part, because potassium is so water soluble, it never actually is found in its pure elemental potassium. The English first called potassium potash, may be derived from the old Dutch word for the way it was extracted after evaporating solution in a pot, and it leaves this traces of potassium like ash. And it was primarily first used in the production of glass, bleach, or soaps, which seems totally fitting since its water solubility. Even the German researcher introduced potassium into fertilizers, which is awesome for us humans who need potassium in our cells. So potassium could be in all of our plants and cells. But now it seems that due to our mass farming, the potassium fertilizers won't be enough, especially when in this modern age we usually opt for processed foods lacking potassium instead of fresh fruits and vegetables. And yeah, because of its solubility with water, it can react with some of the elements like hydrogen, producing a ton of heat, or halogens detonating with bromide. It even can have explosive reactions with sulfuric acid. That just totally reminds me of how potassium, like how so many elements we need in our lives, can also have terrible repercussions when mixed in just the right way with just a select few elements. Because if I can get potassium into my body in just the right and natural way, maybe then I'll stop having these muscle spasms at night, reminding me that I'm deficient in an element so many of our cells are in such desperate need of. And it's weird, I've written things for about potassium, chloride and things for killing people. I've done all of these things, which is crazy. But that was the potassium poem, and as I had said, that was in the periodic table poetry. But it's also in the Down in the Dirt book, Forbidden Library. And I'm going to share with you, yes, it'll be another Chef Boyardee reference, I'm sure, 2 more Twitter-length poems that are potassium and chloride, and they are both in Forbidden Library and Twitter Reverse Periodic Table Poetry. And this first one is Potassium and Chef Boyardee. Doctors say you need more to stop your muscle cramps. Eat bananas, but bananas have fractions of what you need. Supplement jars? Well, that much would kill you. Now, don't fret. 1 can of Chef Boyardee has 8 times the potassium of a banana. What a culinary treat. I can't imagine eating that. I really can't. I really just can't. Anyway, this other one is the other Twitter-length poem that is in this, and this will be the last of my readings for this day. You don't have to hear any more Twitter-length poems, periodic table or not, from me. This is called Chlorine, the Good and the Bad. They say it disinfects, though in the 1830s, various chlorine compounds were made to remove the smell of dead flesh in hospitals. Germany in World War I used it as a lethal gas. So maybe chlorine as an antiseptic helped people with chlorine skin burns get better. Weird things that you learn about elements when you're trying to come up with a Twitter-length periodic table poem for it. Yeah, I'll let you guys go to your reading, but a chemist friend of mine knew that I had written all of the poems for the periodic table of poetry, and they're like, hey, there's a contest going on, make them Twitter-length poems, and so I decided that I'd write them for all of them, and not realizing that it was a contest and forgetting that I'm like, I'm just going to keep reading them, and I had taken, I think, 3rd place with one of my poems, and I was still writing, and I'm like, oh, well, cool, but it's still going to be a quest of mine to finish this up. Thank you for listening, you guys. You got your science lesson too, even though it was in poetry books from both cc&d and Down in the Dirt magazine. I am hoping, because we have a half hour left, if you guys, and it'll just be the 2 of you, and the more from our Zoom host, John F. McMullen, the better. If you would like to be able to take it away, I would love it if you would, John.